Viewers, welcome to this video lecture series on C programming language. Today's session is on basic structure of the C program. So in my previous session, I have given the introduction to C programming language, and also I have explained you regarding the analogy for a natural language and a programming language. Now in this session, I shall explain the basic structure of the C program. Here we can always think the program to have different sections. So the first section is the documentation section. Comment line can be included by using two forward slashes. If there is a program to multiply two numbers, then simply the comment can be multiply two numbers. If you want to include multiple lines, then you have to make use of the forward slash followed by a asterisk symbol and include this. Suppose in the first line you want to include the title of the program, then the author or the programmer name, on the date in which this program is executed. So these details or whatever details you want to include can get included in the documentation section. The compiler ignores the statements that are mentioned in the comment lines. It is only for the understanding purpose. Any other person, if they go through the program, it is difficult for them to find which program it is. Rather than that, first thing they can do is they can check in the documentation section regarding the program details. Then next, if it is a simple program, it is you can easily find out, but if it is a very lengthy program, then finding what program it is becomes difficult. Hence you can always use this documentation section to get to know the program details. Next comes the link section. In the link section, you are making use of the standard input output library files. This is very much required if you are making use of the functions like printf and scanf. It is not just only for the printf and scanf functions. If you have to include some mathematical functions, then you need to include math.h. And to execute input output on the console or to receive input from the user's keyboard, you have to make use of include conio.h, that is console input output.h. In a program, when you make use of get ch, so this is used to hold the output screen and wait until the user provides any form of input. So this get ch, if you are making use of, definitely you need to make use of conio.h header file in the link section. So in future you will be knowing many such functions wherein you can include in the link section. Just to know the structure of the C program, I am just taking few examples here. The third section is the definition section. If you want to define certain constants here, you have to make use of / define the constant name. For example, you want to make use of value 3.142, which is always what the value for the pi. So you can include this in the definition section. So once this value is assigned throughout the program, definitely wherever this pi is used in the program for the pi, this 3.142 will be used. Not only this, suppose you are having a program to find the profit for a particular investment wherein you are giving the principal amount as 5,000. Okay. So in future, if you want to change this principal amount, you can change it here just in this line. That means in the definition section. So these are all about the definition section, which if you want to include certain values for the constants, you can make use of # define followed by the value for that particular constant. If you are not making use of such statements in the definition section, what happens is in the program, in the entire program, you are using the value 5,000 maybe at 10 to 12 places. When you in future, if you want to change this value, then you have to change at all 10 to 12 places in the program. Rather than that, you can always change only once in the definition section. Then we have the global declaration section. So we know that in many times what happens is in the program we are declaring the variables. Now suppose if this is your main program and you are declaring some variable, let us take int a in the program. Fine. So this is a local declaration because only it is meant for this particular function, that is the main function. Suppose if you have more than one function in a program, like suppose there are several user defined functions, and for each of these functions you are making use of the variable a, then every function you are going to declare this. Instead of declaring in every function, you can always declare where in this global declaration section, that is before the main, you can always write down this particular declaration so that it is what it can be used in all the functions that are there in the program. Not only variables, you can always include even the functions. Some functions can be globally declared here in the global declaration section. Then comes the main function. In the main function, what exactly you're carrying out is, the main function starts with an opening brace, and there you have two different parts. One is the declaration part and the other one is the executable part. Definitely these two are required here in order to carry out the execution of any particular task. In the declaration part, you are carrying out the declaration of all the variables. Then in the execution, you are carrying out a statement that executes a particular job. Remember, a main function must and should have one executable part. Suppose if I have a program, very simple program, just I am writing here printf, fine, and I want to print the word hello. So this becomes my executable part, this statement. That means, what is the conclusion? A program may not have the declaration part, but compulsorily it should have what? The executable part. Once this main function ends, then the subprogram section starts. So depending on what program you are writing, that what functions are required, those functions can be included after the main function. These functions are called as the user defined function. If this is the program, then what you have done is, here is you're calling these two functions. What functions? Add and sub. Whereas the definition for these functions will be written here. Okay. So once this particular add function gets completed, the control will go back to this particular statement. That means the end of this. Then from here, once again, you can see there is another function called. So the control comes back here, execute this, and then goes back to this particular line, then continue with the remaining statements of the main program. So these things you will be learning in detail in future sessions. Time being, what I wanted to tell is, your C program has got these many sections. So you have the documentation section, followed by the link section. Then link section is mandatory, documentation section is optional, definition section is also optional, depends on what program you are writing. Global declaration section is also optional, whereas main function is what? Mandatory. Then comes what? The subprogram section. Even depending on what program you are writing, wherein you don't require the subprogram sections, so this subprogram section also becomes optional. Moreover, one more thing I wanted to tell you is, this main function you're writing here, and for that, whatever are the standard input output library files needed, you are writing in the link section. So this link section and the main function becomes the mandatory thing. The remaining sections are all optional section. Totally there are 6 sections in a C program. So this is all about the basic structure of the C program. Hope this session is useful to you all. If you find it useful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel.